so we're continuing with more of Chapter 8, Self-Disclosure and Interpersonal Communication. And at the end of this module is going to be the assignment from the theory in here, which is Johari window. For those of you who started it already, I bet you're getting some fantastic feedback. So what I'm going to be concentrating on in this mini lecture are 3 theories. One of them only has part of it in our Top Hat textbook, and they concentrate on a different one instead. The reason why I'm including the dialectical tensions is because it's one of my favorites, and I think it helps us understand many different relationships in life. So that's why the focus is on that one today. So the 3 theories that we're going to be going over are social penetration, Johari window, and dialectical tensions. The first one, from what you can see, feel free to yell out the vegetable. I'll listen. Yeah, that's an onion. So the 2 key words for social penetration theory is breadth and depth. I do not love when theories are defined with words that most people don't know. So what breadth means is not risky. So the things that we reveal that does not put us in a vulnerable position. So it might be how many brothers and sisters you have. It might be where you live. It might be where you work, with the exception of maybe that's illegal. And then maybe that would be your death in terms of something that is more personal. You know, think about the ways that you make small talk when you meet someone and the things that you stay away from. The things that you would make the small talk about is the breadth. The things that you might stay away from in the beginning of getting to know someone would be more of the depth, the more risky. So when we get to the layers of the onion, it is just a great analogy just for this theory. Even in the textbook, when they talk about the movie Shrek and the layers, this is what they're referring to. The Johari window is very often a highlight of the semester for a lot of students. It's actually named after 2 gentlemen, if you want to try and guess their names, Joe and Harry. And that's how you get into a communication textbook. So if you ever want to make a theory with me, I'll rock, paper, scissors you to see whose name gets to go first. So the Johari window goes into 4 main frames of open, blind, hidden, and unknown. Now, I want to be clear that there's a couple of mistakes, both in the chapter and a website, that I'm going to clear up for you on this video. The 4 main panes, again, are open, blind, hidden, unknown. But when you read about it in Top Hat, they actually have an image that's incorrect. They only have known to self going across the top, and they only have known to others going along the side. And they're missing the not known to self and not known to others. I took this from Google Images, so I just want to help clarify, make sure everybody gets it right on the test, but more importantly than just the test, you understand the difference of the wrong one and then the correct one. So when we talk about the open window, those are things that are known to self and known to others. So I don't know if you've known this about me yet over the last several weeks. So I live in Long Beach. I know it, but now it's out there for everybody if I haven't mentioned it before. So it's known to self and it's known to others. Think about the things that you've revealed, whether it's on discussion board, in your video grading. Those kinds of things are known to self, right? And then known to others. So for some people, it might be the ones who talked about where they work, their internship, their major, all those things now, known to self, known to others. When we move into the next window, which is blind, those are things we don't know about ourselves, but others see it about us. So it might be in another context, in another class. You did some public speaking and your classmates thought you were fantastic, even though you didn't see that about yourself. It might be that people see you as a really hard worker, and maybe you didn't know that until you went to college. On a heftier note, you might have some friends and maybe they use substances, whether it's drinking or drugs, and they think it's just recreational, but you and your friends or family members can totally see that it's a problem. Those are things, again, that it's not known to self, but it's known to others. Think about it when you're driving and it's a blind spot, right? You can't see that huge truck behind you, but that's why they keep tuning on their horn. They absolutely. So don't move over, they're telling you. Things that are hidden, those are our secrets, right? So it's known to self, but it's not known to others. It might be something that you thought about putting up on discussion board, but not yet. So if you didn't reveal it, it might be things that you just wait to reveal till you know someone better in a relationship. So sometimes people mix up the blinds and the hidden window. Just know the hidden one is a little bit easier to remember because those are your secrets. The last one is the unknown. In the unknown window, it's not known to self and it's not known to others. And people think, well, how can that be? Well, there's two different reasons for that. One of them is simply because it hasn't occurred yet. So for some people, it might be who you're going to marry, how many kids you're going to have, where you're going to settle down. In other contexts, it might be in a sad way because of repressed memories. So you've probably heard before when people go into shock. So a lot of times people don't remember when something pretty traumatic happens. So those repressed memories are also unknown because they're not known at the cognizant conscious level. For those of you who love all those crime TV shows and documentaries, if you've ever watched when someone goes under hypnosis to remember details about it, that's what they're trying to do, bring something to the surface that is actually unknown. So when you're doing this assignment, I want to be very clear. Not only did Top Hat make a mistake in the parts where they don't have the full view of this, the other mistake is on the website, and they call the hidden window facade. And when we think of facade, it usually has a negative connotation. So something that is fake or a mask, and I want to be very clear, that is not at all how this theory works. The person who made the website that you're going to be doing your paper on, I have a feeling really liked a communication class, and they're very good at computer science. But in every textbook that you'll ever read about this theory, it's always called hidden. So what's going to be happening when you go to the website is you can click on it right through here. It's the same one that's been up on Blackboard since last week. Is you're going to see 55 words, and you're going to pick 5 or 6 of them. If you pick more than 6, the website won't take it, so please limit it to that. I think it's a good idea to also not pick synonyms. So if you see a couple words out of those 55 that are really close together, even if they both fit you, my suggestion would be choose one and then vary all the other words. It'll just give you more breadth and depth in what you're choosing to do your paper on. When it says pick a unique name, what it means by that is very similar to when you were growing up, if it was on AOL and you tried to make an instant messenger name and everybody had that one and it didn't take it, or an email address. So what a lot of people choose to do is do their first initial and then the last name, and then you don't have the frustration of if the website will take it or not. When I write send your personalized link out, what that means is that Johari website, the kavan.org, is going to make a generated link for you, and that's what you're going to send to your friends and family. Remember, you're sending it to at least 3 people. What I found is many people want to send it to more than 3, and that's absolutely fine. Just make sure that you're editing your paper for the 1.5 to 2 pages so I can get it back to you in a timely way. So maybe you'd be writing more about the patterns than each individual person. I did mine the old school way. I sent it out by email. What I find with a lot of students is they send it out by text message. So there's a lot of reciprocity in this course, just like you share with me. This one is mine. So the reason why I share with you is partly so you can see what it looks like. Plus, we're always revealing different things, and I don't want you to feel so vulnerable that you don't get to see mine too. Now, you might be surprised at some of the ways that it comes out. So there's no bad ways, but I was a bit disappointed in mine of what was left in my hidden box. And you'll see when you click on it that clearly my closest family and friends didn't think a couple words about me that I thought about myself. Now, I can't argue that they're wrong because I picked my dominant traits. But then I think, how dominant could it be if my friends and family didn't pick those? What's interesting is when I've done it with students, the two words that were left in the box, kind and patient, even without me talking about this with students, students have picked that for me. So that really gives me some sense of self-awareness that perhaps I'm more kind and patient with students than I am with closest family and friends if nobody picked it for me. Like I said, they did pick some other very nice things about me, but it's a bit humbling when you read these things. So the paper asks a whole lot of different questions that you're going to go through. Again, check out from the week 3 module, and it's in week 4. Check out assignments go here for all the different directions on it. I have you write a lot about the blind window because that's typically where we learn the most. As always, if you have questions on anything, feel free to get in touch with me. I'm happy to help you out with it. I think you're going to enjoy it. What we're going to move into next, and this has nothing to do with the paper, this is one of my favorite theories. It helps us understand a lot about relationships, both romantic and otherwise. Our textbook only talks about one, so I'm going to go into all 3, which is dialectical tensions. And if you're getting really good at clip art, as we keep moving on, it's like a catch-22. So damned if you do, and damned if you don't. So you can see more clip art in terms of this tug of war. Typically, the dialectical tensions are within ourselves, but a lot of times people understand it more. They like to think about it in terms of relationships with other people. So conflicts that arise when 2 opposing or incompatible forces exist at the same time, so simultaneously. I think this is a pretty good example of it. Do you understand the contradiction? I've asked you the absolute impossible. How do you not read what's up there? So when you think about it in terms of where it exists, you might have it at home or school or work, and we're going to see it in the 3 different dialectical tensions that we're going to cover. So the very first one is openness versus closeness. And you could think about it in terms of reveal versus conceal. So the things that we tell versus the things that we don't. So it might be in your family, it's totally on the table to talk about relationships, but financial woes, that's not something that will be revealed. It might be totally okay to talk about problems that you have at work, but romantic issues, those aren't things that you talk about. So when we talk about the keywords reveal versus conceal, it definitely could be within yourself, but it also might be with a partner, that one might lean one more way and one more than another. When we move into the next one on connection versus autonomy, this is the one of the we versus the I. So you can see that they're dancing pretty close together here. They want a little bit more space over here. Now, a lot of times people say when they want their space, people want to break up. Well, that might be true, but it also might be true that someone just really wants their space. And if you can't think about this in terms of romance, you could even think about it in terms of your best friend. You might love your best friend and love being with them, but you also want time for yourself. You might think about it in terms of family, right? Especially during quarantine. You might have found you loved being with them for parts of it, and then other parts you just really, really wanted to retreat to a different part of your home, and you really just wanted time for you. The last one is novelty versus predictability. Can you see what I'm going for here with the clip art? Change. Get it? You even have to laugh back from your homes. So the new versus the routine. Somebody once said that was someone washing dishes. I'm like, no, she's reading the future. So it might have been that for the very first time you took online classes during the pandemic and it took some getting used to. But now that it's so many weeks into the semester and it's past a 180 switch that you did in spring, you've fallen into the routine of what modules are like and you know what to expect and when things are due. So when you think about it in terms of relationships, when things are new, it's pretty exciting. But if things are always new, it could add to the chaos. So relationships need a certain amount of predictability in order to be successful so we know what to expect. So these are the three: openness versus closeness, connection versus autonomy, and novelty versus predictability. And you are in for a treat on another part of this module from it. This is a very close-up picture of me. This is Bill Rollins, who's actually one of the authors of this theory. When I was leaving Ohio University around 2004, he was coming in, and I actually got a chance to meet him. This is me taking a close-up picture, or maybe I had someone take a picture, I guess. Definitely the days before selfies, at least for me. That's me about 35 pounds heavier, which is probably why I was sweaty at the conference. You'll get to hear more about how I lost that weight when we get up to informative speeches and the nutrition lifestyle that I follow now. This is from one of my favorite movies. I know Netflix came out with a show called Parenthood. This is from the 80s. This is Steve Martin. And there was a movie called Parenthood. And when you click on this, you're going to see about a 3-minute clip that is one of the best ways to manage dialectical tensions. It's called reaffirmation. They don't talk about it in here, but there's a grandma who tells a story about carousels versus roller coasters, and I think you'll enjoy that 3 minutes when you click on it. One of the things that you may not have known about me yet is that I'm quite a wordsmith. You're going to get to see in part of this module, I'm not the greatest guitar player. I'm certainly not the greatest singer. I'm a really good rhymer, and I'm really bold, and that counts for something. So I wrote a song to Kid Rock's All Summer Long about dialectical tensions. So the lyrics will be up. I write a lot of different parodies. Feel free to sing along. You'll see it in the module. When you click on this, if you're not familiar with All Summer Long, you could sing along, although I definitely get a poetic license and mine is much, much shorter. In the very last part of this slide, I just thought I'd share a little bit about my research. So part of my dissertation when I was in grad school was interning at a wilderness camp. And what I was working with was a lot of different issues with kids who had substance abuse and anger issues and family issues. And I actually took a lot of the theories that we've covered already. Some of those are what's in red for part of it, and I was relating the theories to what was going on at the wilderness camp. So when we talked about Irving Goffman and face work and front stage and backstage, one of the things that I wrote about was the idea that staff has to take mandatory breaks. It's not that we want to be fake in terms of why we need breaks and then to rest, but in terms of putting our best foot forward, especially when we're the adults and the staff. One of the things I found was when people didn't take breaks, that was when tensions got really high, and sometimes the staff were even talking to some of the kids in ways that they wouldn't have when they were better rested. When we talked about cognitive complexity, in terms of not jumping to conclusions and seeing things from many different vantage points. One of the things that I found at the wilderness camp was the phone communication from the field back to the office only came from one staff member. And obviously, when there's going to be different interpretations, it should have come from others too. That would give it a more complex picture with more viewpoints. In terms of strength-based journals, one of the things that I found were a lot of the kids on the trip were forced to write all about their weaknesses, and while we could certainly learn from weaknesses, we also want to explore those strengths too, which comes from psychology and the positive asset search. When we talked about self-fulfilling prophecy and other things back in the perception and self chapters, Carl Rogers is a psychoanalyst, and one of the things he is big on is having positive regard for ourselves and really looking for the good. And a lot of times that's hard to do, whether it's we screw something up, if we feel guilty, if we're just at a low time in life that we all experience in different parts of life. And that's why I really like the notice of positive regard. Um, the reason why this is included in this chapter is I have been on a few different trips with this wilderness camp with different kids on it. Some was for special needs, some was for the substance abuse, and some was for the anger management. And on the last one that I had gone on, there was a new therapist, and he actually wanted students to do, or campers to do, the Johari window the night one. And that's a pretty scary thing to do in terms of talking about what's in your different windows. So this is some of my research. The FIF was talking about having the head person, Franken Field, at least to come out and explore what's going on in different parts. So the reason why I include this is because we don't do things just in terms of the textbook, we use it in real life too. So I hope you enjoy the paper. That link that you're going to do through Johari is always yours. You're going to see if you choose to look through mine, which you're welcome to. I have a lot of people on it. I didn't ask them to do it all at once. It's been a work in progress over the years. Typically students like it. I can't wait to read your papers. Enjoy the week.